A certificate of completion will be emailed to all participants enrolled through Eventbrite. Q&As will be available on the Child Nutrition website at the following link. Thank you for your attendance today and your attention to these details. Now I would like to introduce Deb Egeland, our Child Nutrition and Food Distribution Assistant Director. Deb?
Hello. We've already been chatting a little bit, but I will share my screen now. Hopefully I get the right one. Okay. All right. We're going to be talking about equipment grants and just equipment in general. We have a new USDA equipment grant this year. We got $49,175. It's kind of interesting when they talk about 25, 30 million, sometimes 100 million. We get it divvied out on how many kids we have in the state, which isn't that many, so that's why we only get $49,000. But there's something really, really special about this one, and I would like to give a pat on the back to Linnell Johnson, Michelle Wagner, Becky Heinert, because every time we go and lobby, I should say they lobby, I go with, to Congress about equipment grants, we have always said it would be great if we could get it for all the schools, not just the 50%ers. So first time ever, any school district in our whole state can apply, even if you were only 2% free and reduced. And what you need to do, it's also doesn't have to be a $5,000 item this time, it can be just $1,000. It has to be that item, $1,000 though. You have to do proper procurement with bids. And we've decided, since we have we have 420 buildings, we're not going to allow people with excess funds to get an equipment grant. I mean, unless we wouldn't get enough applicants, but I think we'll get enough. Oh, first of all, I'll say this little disclaimer. Any products, equipment, whatever that we show in here is only meant as an example. The North Dakota Department of Public Instruction, Child Nutrition, and Midwest Dairy Council do not endorse any specific brands or products. Okay, so in our grants, what does item mean? It's a single item, which is like one piece of equipment has to cost $1,000. You can't say I need 5 tables that are $200 each. You can't say I want a rack and a bunch of bins on the rack and now that's $1,000. And you can't say you want a box of 20 magic wands or bar scanners. Those items are all supplies because they wear out quickly and then they would be replaced. Equipment lasts longer. Priorities for our equipment would be something that improves food safety, like dishwashers, improves nutritional quality of meals. That could possibly be different kind of processing equipments. Energy efficiency, if maybe you had an old oven or cooler that uses a lot of electricity, especially if you have 6 chest freezers around the sides of the school. It might be nice if you went to a nice big freezer. And we are really focusing on equipment that expands participation in school meals like breakfast. This is straight out of the terms and condition of our grant. Equipment has to be tangible, non-expendable, personal property, having a useful life of more than a year, and cost more than $5,000. That's just their definition, but this grant in particular is only $1,000. I mean, it has to cost $1,000 if you are, let's say, selfish. You want to put in for a piece of equipment that costs $40,000, I guess you could, but it has to cost at least $1,000. All of the regular procurement rules have to be followed by American. Get some bids. Okay, then I guess we have this one little requirement that so many people don't know about. If you are using food service money to buy equipment, if it is less than $5,000, that's just fine. But if it's more than $5,000, you're supposed to get our approval for it. And this is kind of interesting because the only person who ever asked us ever that I can think of was Doug Jers. But we made a special pre-approved equipment list that is in your handouts. If you buy anything on that list, and Joe Oster helped me make that list, so I think we got everything on there except a van or a truck maybe. If it's on that list, you can buy it without asking us. Equipment records need to be maintained and inventory taken so that you aren't buying some great piece of equipment and then retiring and taking it with you out the back door. That's just extra little notification we had to give you there. All right, for our USDA equipment grant, we got our application all ready, but we had to send it to our Denver office to get approved first before we can send it out to you. As soon as we get the approval, we'll send it out to all of the authorized reps of all of our programs. And you don't have to fill it out or do anything if you don't want to. But if you would like to apply for a piece of equipment, go right ahead. I put mine and Rhonda's names and contact information on here because we will take in your big pile of grants and then score them and take a look at who we will give the money to. All right, any questions so far? Okay, next, I think okay. It's going to be Shar next. Shar Hare is from the Midwest Dairy Council, and she has some grants due to COVID that there was an overwhelming response for. So she's going to talk about some of that and things that you can get. Now, she might mention some things that do not cost $1,000. So just remember, can't use our USDA equipment grant for that, but you could use your own money or a different grant for that. Okay, are you ready, Shar?
I am. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
All right. So hi, everybody. I'm going to turn my camera off so we can concentrate on the screen, and I can keep moving around my hands and not get in front of my face. So I'm going to turn that off, but I thought I'd say hi. Thank you, Deb. So there's some additional grants. It's exciting to see that North Dakota has some opportunities through the DPI Child Nutrition Program. Great and fantastic. That's a great way to get that equipment that's well needed. There's also other opportunities. So I'm going to start from the bottom up first. So the Action for Healthy Kids, there's grant opportunities. I'm not sure of the amount, but again, there's a grant application that is open for that. Also, the School Nutrition Foundation has grant opportunities for those grab and go meals and kiosks and so forth. So, you know, look to your School Nutrition Foundation for some additional funds. The one that Deb was talking about was from Gen Youth. It was called For School's Sake. So it's the COVID-19 Emergency School Nutrition Fund from Gen Youth. Gen Youth, as a reminder, is the foundation that helps fund the Fuel Up to Play 60 program, or helps with the grant, some of the grants that come from the Fuel Up to Play 60 program. So you may have seen that Gen Youth logo or the name, or even if you got a check, you might have seen that on the check. So the Gen Youth is actually a foundation who does fundraising from organizations and private individuals to help with programs for schools. So this COVID-19 emergency fund was set up, and so far they've raised over $8 million in cash. So it was able to fund almost 8,000 schools. The good news, bad news is it was so overwhelmingly needed and so many applications in there that they are needing to make some more fundraising opportunities to help with the other 9,000 schools that remain to have funding. Now, if you were one of them in North Dakota that applied, and actually there were 92 schools, you have not been denied. Even though you have not heard anything and you've not received any money, your application is still out there. They will fund it when they get some funding. So it might be a nice little Christmas present. Might be a little later in the school year, but you know, chances are you're still going to need the money, and you can use the fund. So do not be discouraged with the fact that you've not heard anything or that you've not seen anything. Be encouraged that your application is still there. It is still being considered for funding. And those that didn't put in for applications, the application process is actually still open. So you can go to fueluptoplay60.com and hit the funding tab, and that will get you to that category. So stay tuned on that one. You might get a surprise monetary package someday, check in the mail with helping out however would help. Okay, Deb, if you want to keep advancing. Deb, can you advance the next slide, please? Did I lose her? There we go. All right, so in your handouts, I'm not going to go through this entirely, but so let's say you've got some funding available and there's a dire need for some different types of equipment. Here are just some ideas out there of vendors that have equipment that might meet your need. In this day and age of being more mobile with your meals, you're going to find that you're going to need things that are more transportable or can be moved from a classroom to the cafeteria and back and forth or through the hallways. So, or, even permanent types of fixtures. So this is just a guide, just a reference. Again, we don't particularly endorse one brand or one company. It's just ones that we've had some experience with and have some great products to offer. So encourage you to look at that. What I am going to do is go through some of the pieces of equipment that you might find very useful right now or, in the near future. So if you want to advance the next slide, please, Deb. So as you're going to be transporting meals, you need to still keep stuff cold, for instance, milk. And, if you're going to do more of like a breakfast in the classroom or lunch in the classroom or something in the hallway, electricity may not always be available. So these are some great ideas of some portable coolers that might be able to meet your need. So Sterno has the crate bag wrap where a milk crate fits right into that bottom bag. It can come with a carrier so you can tote it down the hallway. And you can also get one that holds 2 crates. So it doesn't, you can actually put, more than the 24 or 48 that are in a crate. They keep cold just from the sense of the insulation that's in the product, in the material that's in the transport material. So it's not anything, you could put a chill pack in it to keep things colder, but it's more insulated. The cold cell crate coolers, again, no electricity needed. They're with chill pads on the side. So there's chill plates on each of the 4 sides on the round one, and then again on the bottom one, and that you freeze it and put it in there, and then you can have the things cold for almost the whole day. It's a really great opportunity, again, to keep things on wheels and transport through that. So the barrel one has 2 crates, you get one with 4 crates. And then if you want something, again, if you have the electricity available and you want something maybe still more portable, you could put it in a hallway or a classroom. Maybe the table type refrigerators or coolers might be an opportunity for if you're doing classrooms where you could supply that with the milk and water or other, approved beverage that would go for school food service. And that way the teacher at least has that beverage already there. And then they've got the different types of milk coolers too. So these are just 3 of the companies that have coolers that are transportable, portable, and not necessarily needing electricity or, minimal types of hookups with the other coolers. All right, Deb, go ahead and advance. So again, this day and age of transporting meals, you need a cart to do that. And what a great way to do meal service is with something very attractive that would, again, keep the kids interested in their meals, even though it might be served differently. So these are just some examples of some grab and go carts that are out there. Hubbard is a great one with some very portable types of carts. They also have a wide range of other pieces of material. So here's a close-up of that one particular one, which, it's not very expensive. You could probably get it for under $1,000 with all of the pieces that you need. These are just Cambro coolers that could be purchased in addition to the cart, just using tubs and doing some great transporting of meals, whether it be putting it in the hallway or in the classroom. So on that order, I have Michelle Wagner online that has a true experience with all of these different carts because she was able to add these to her program earlier this year before COVID even came to be. So I'm going to turn it over to her for a bit to talk about her experience with the equipment and some of the ways to transport meals. So Michelle?
Thanks, Shar. Yeah, I just kind of want to start out by saying both the Midwest Dairy Grant and the USDA grant are really easy to complete. I think sometimes we hear the word grant and we get like, ugh, what does this all entail and how much work is this going to be? And it's surprising how easy these two grants are to complete. So don't let that deter you if you are thinking about applying for a grant. So I can kind of go through, I guess, these pictures here. We have the first one I'll start with is Simley Middle School, because that was the first school that we started with a breakfast cart. And so we have this big breakfast cart there. And our ADP before was probably around 12%. And then after we started this breakfast cart, we jumped to about 20% for our breakfast participation. So it definitely has helped. The kids seem to really enjoy it. I just met with the principals today, and that was one thing that they definitely want to keep going, even with all this COVID stuff that's going on, is that they're like, we need the breakfast carts. We need to keep that going, which was really encouraging to hear, that they even notice the difference in the kids when they've had breakfast and are participating in our breakfast program. The second school that we started a breakfast cart at was Wachter Middle School. And so we kind of went with a little bit different style there. It's more upright and sleek and smaller. What we found out with that big Fuel Up to Play 61 is that it's very pretty, but it's kind of cumbersome to push around and move. So we went with the fast and fresh type version, and this has been really great for Wachter. We do have to pull out another cart for extra stuff because
Michelle,
yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm going to mute everybody for a second. I can hear some feedback, and then just go ahead and unmute yourself in a second. One moment. Okay, go ahead, Michelle.
Okay. So the fresh and fast works really well at Wachter. Like I said, it's a little bit more sleek and it's easier to push. So I think we've kind of made improvements as we go with this. We were scheduled to start a breakfast cart at Horizon Middle School, but then COVID hit. And so unfortunately, we probably won't get that even up and running this year, but we do have the equipment for it. So we'll actually looking at using that equipment in a different manner than as a breakfast cart. I think she has Myrie here. I can't see it with my screen stuff, but Myrie Elementary was one of our first breakfast in the classrooms that we started. And Myrie is a CEP school. And so what we found out is that only 50% of our kids were eating breakfast when everybody could have been eating it for free. And so we decided to try this breakfast in the classroom. And so we worked with Midwest Dairy and got grant money for this cart and all the containers that you see on it. And what happened is our participation went from 50% to 93%. So we're feeding almost all the kids there. This is that Hubert one that Shar was talking about. We do like this for transporting. It's just that the shelving is a little steep, I'll be honest with you. And so some of that stuff all falls forward. So we've kind of tried to make some tweaks to it. And I did let Hubert know kind of what we thought maybe they could make some improvements on. But again, it's a cheap cart to get started with something like this. A couple of other schools, or one other school, I guess, that we've gotten grant money for was Wilmore Elementary. We started our breakfast in the classroom there. And same thing, like we didn't need breakfast carts because our kitchen's in the basement with no elevator. So we have to haul food up 3 flights of steps to get it up to the 3rd level. So what we really needed was a milk cooler up on that 3rd level. So we partnered with Midwest Dairy and got a milk cooler. And we're fortunate enough to have a great milkman that will actually haul milk up to the 3rd floor so that our cook doesn't have to do that. And so again, our ADP, I think she went from serving about 40 kids a day to now we're doing 295 breakfasts a day. There's days where we actually serve more breakfast than we serve lunch. And so it's just been really helpful and well received, I guess. Another school that we partnered with Midwest Dairy was at Century High School, and that's where we used $5,000 to put towards our coffee machine. So if you're thinking of doing something fun or exciting, you can always use that money for a coffee machine. And I think I hit them all up, Shar. but it's definitely a great program. I encourage everybody to go out and apply for those grants because, like I said, it's not difficult. It's not hard. The reporting afterwards is really easy. You know, you just basically say, okay, we were serving this many breakfasts. Now we're serving this many breakfasts. So it's not something that takes up a bunch of time and energy to do.
All right, great. Thanks, Michelle. It's been great to work with you and see these, the pieces of equipment go, be put in action and see the increase in ADPs with just some little tweaks. And, these are great things now. If again, you need to be a little bit mobile with your meal service, these are some awesome pieces of equipment and information from Michelle to use to help with your school food service going forward. All right, so I got a couple more slides and then we'll open up for questions. So go ahead and advance. Thanks, Michelle. These cute little signs, if you're looking for some social distancing signs, this is these 4 little signs that you could just put on the floor. They're adhesive backing you put on the floor. Were developed by another dairy council within the United States. And so we're kind of duplicating, so to speak, as far as using their idea, of course, with their permission, and they're eager to be able to share this information with Midwest Dairy. So I want to share it with you. So if you're interested in any of these floor signs for social distancing to keep 6 feet apart, please give me a call or contact me via email as to which one you liked and how many, and we'll see what we can line up for you. So also additional signage if you need it is also at that other website, and that was on the love your signs. I can't see either because my signs are loveyourlunchroom.com. It has some other signage, whether it be stand-up signage or floor signage, even on a delivery van or a school bus, you could put signage for school meals. And lastly, Midwest Dairy did some work with a program called NutriStudents K-12 to come up with the 2-week cycle menus, whether it be cold or hot menu items that are more prepackaged and portable. So please check this website out. Go to the NutriStudents K12.com site or the Menu Freedom, there it is, for the actually 3-week cycle menus with recipes, plus whatever is needed, the nutrient analysis and production records. So it's a great program that was put out by this NutriStudents K-12 that we had the opportunity to partner with to help you as school food service be able to, spend time making the best food possible with the equipment that you have, and making sure you have the recipes and production records that you need to help your job be a little easier in this difficult time. So I believe that's all I had for equipment. Again, look at the guide. Go ahead and apply for the grant funding. It's there, the money is there. It's just taking a little bit longer to get out to you than what we had anticipated. But thank you very much, Deb, for the opportunity to speak to the group, and thank you all, and have a wonderful school year. It's going to be challenging. I commend you on the work that you have done and are doing moving forward. So you are true lunch heroes. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Shar. That was wonderful. And thank you so much, Michelle, for telling us all of your success stories and also how easy the grants are. So that's really nice to see that you had great success. Okay, does anybody else have any questions about anything? Melissa, did we have any?
No, there are no questions in the chat, or no one has their hand raised either, so.
Okay, well, everything that we showed, I sent you as the handouts. Scott sent you the handouts right before this, so you can see what is out there. Think about if you want to put in for a grant or not. But we had a little conversation right before this started about all the schools receiving what's called ESSER funds from the last COVID money from the feds. And in one of my handouts, I put how much every district received. Plus, if the HEROES Act does go through with more COVID money for schools, maybe your school will get more and you could ask for some. Anyway, thank you so much, Shar and Michelle. There's something in the chat. Is that not for us, Melissa?
Someone says thank you.
Oh, well, thank you. Thanks for listening, people. And thanks for working so hard. Hope you can get some good equipment and maybe some donor will come to your school. Haha. All right. Thank you very much, ladies.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Please make sure that you exit the meeting after the session is over. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.